Garth Crooks Team of the Week: Saka, Haaland, Fernandes, Felix, Isak. At the end of every round of fixtures, BBC football pundit Garth Crooks is on hand to give you his Team of the Week. But who has he picked from this weekend's Premier League and FA Cup action? Take a look and then pick your own team below. As ever, Garth also has his say on the game's big talking points in the crux of the matter. Emiliano Martinez, Aston Villa. Martinez's right-handed stop from a blistering Philip Billing drive when Villa were 1-0 up against Bournemouth was absolutely superb. However, the art of good goalkeeping is forcing the striker to change his mind, or forcing him to do something he would prefer not to do, which was precisely what Martinez did when Dominic Solanke was clear with only the goalkeeper to beat. The Argentine stayed on his feet before backtracking towards his own goal, all the time continually asking questions of the Bournemouth striker. Keepers who repeatedly come running out of their goalmouths in an attempt to win the ball are either often easy pickings for any decent striker or invariably give a penalty away. Martinez did neither, but did give Tyrone Mings the opportunity to get a tackle in instead. World-class goalkeeping. Emiliano Martinez, Aston Villa. Martinez's right-handed stop from a blistering Philip Billing drive when Villa were 1-0 up against Bournemouth was absolutely superb. However, the art of good goalkeeping is forcing the striker to change his mind, or forcing him to do something he would prefer not to do, which was precisely what Martinez did when Dominic Solanke was clear with only the goalkeeper to beat. The Argentine stayed on his feet before backtracking towards his own goal, all the time continually asking questions of the Bournemouth striker. Keepers who repeatedly come running out of their goalmouths in an attempt to win the ball are either often easy pickings for any decent striker or invariably give a penalty away. Martinez did neither, but did give Tyrone Mings the opportunity to get a tackle in instead. World-class goalkeeping. James Ward-Prowse, Southampton. If anyone can save the Saints from relegation, Ward-Prowse can. His converted penalty gave them a valuable point in a 3-3 draw that had appeared way beyond them minutes earlier. After 4 defeats on the road for Tottenham, and their latest showing at Southampton, I'm not in the least bit surprised that Antonio Conte has blown his top. In his press conference, the Italian called his players selfish, lacking in spirit, with a poor attitude, and his board lacking in ambition. In fact, it was the most excellent advert for getting the sack I've seen for some time, and I will be amazed if he lasts the week. João Felix, Chelsea. This lad looks like he might provide Chelsea with the goals Chelsea need but also the class required in and around the opposition's penalty area. The Blues have done well to get this player on loan from Atletico Madrid. He cost the Spanish outfit a ferocious £126 million and arrived at Stamford Bridge only having fallen out with Diego Simeone, who is capable of having an argument with himself in a room on his own. Felix helped Benfica win the league in his first and only season with them and was awarded Primeira Liga's Best Young Player of the Year. His performance against a spirited Everton side was typical of a player growing in stature with every game. It was also good to see Everton fans cheering their team and celebrating their goals with renewed enthusiasm at Stamford Bridge, instead of waving conflict-ridden banners that only cause disruption to a club and a team who need togetherness now more than ever. Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United. Big-time players step up to the mark when games get interesting, and they didn't come more interesting than when Fulham had 2 players sent off. Fernandes came in for an awful lot of criticism after United's defeat against Liverpool, and quite rightly. United, N. Alexander Isak, Newcastle. The adjustment for his first goal was outstanding, while the coolness displayed to convert the winning penalty against Nottingham Forest justified his selection over Callum Wilson. Isak is starting to produce the goods at exactly the right time for the Magpies. Wilson did well for Newcastle during the early part of the season but has run out of steam since his return from a World Cup that must have been mentally draining. Meanwhile, Isak has taken the strain and is leading the line exceptionally as the Geordies mount a serious assault on a top 4 place. Newcastle are currently 5th, 2 points behind Tottenham with 2 games in hand. Is it any wonder Conte has blown a fuse, having seen Spurs squander a 2-goal lead at Southampton? Erling Haaland, Manchester City. If you score 5 goals in the Champions League and another 3 goals in the FA Cup quarter-final days later, your chances of featuring in my selection are pretty much nailed on. Haaland has scored 40 goals this season already for City in all competitions, and we are still in March. How is that possible? Of all his goals during a sensational demonstration of finishing, the Norwegian superstar's first goal against Burnley was my personal favorite. The power and pace to get onto the through ball, accompanied by the simplest of toe pokes under the oncoming goalkeeper's body to complete the move, were striking at its best. The most impressive goals scored by genuine strikers tend to be those that comprise of power, pace and the coolest of finishes. Jacob Ramsey, Aston Villa. It was an impressive home win for Villa, who have been steadily climbing the table. Unai Emery is quietly going about his work without attracting too much attention to himself, or his team for that matter. So what's changed at Villa Park since Steven Gerrard left? If you listen to Ramsey, it would appear an awful lot. The striker is playing considerably higher up the pitch in a role he likes and that plays to his strengths. His confidence is sky high and he's scoring goals. He blew Bournemouth off the pitch. It would appear Aston Villa now have a grown-up in charge and not a manager who was learning on the job. The crux of the matter. I retired from the professional game, gently and without a fanfare, in November 1990. I loved and missed the football but hated the racism. The reason I spent 15 years on anti-racism charity Kick It Out, an organization dedicated to defending verbal or physical abuse towards ethnic groups in football, with relative success. I'd like to think we played some small part in the delivery of the first banning order of its type issued under the Police, Crime, Sentencing and Courts Act 2022, which has seen an individual who racially abused Ivan Toney on social media banned from every football ground in the UK for 3 years. It is a landmark action against a 24-year-old man who admitted sending offensive messages to the Brentford striker and was handed a 4-month jail sentence, suspended for 2 years, and who now cannot go to matches in the UK or travel abroad to watch international friendlies, qualification matches and tournaments. The legislation was brought in to widen the scope of banning orders for online hate crimes. My question is, why did it take so long? Racial abuse in football has been in existence since before the 1960s and the days of Leeds United's South African winger Albert Johansson. It gathered pace with the introduction of Clyde Best in the 1970s and came to a crescendo with West Bromwich Albion's 3 Degrees of Cyril Regis, Laurie Cunningham and Brendan Batson. Now is not the time to name and shame clubs who allowed their fans and the occasional player to get away with such vile abuses, but to savor the moment and congratulate all those who have played a part in helping take away the blemishes on the face of an otherwise beautiful game with this unprecedented legal action.